And he said, President, I didn't feel comfortable until 10 months into my mission. I'm so glad that I stayed.
Kia ora everyone. We've all heard of the Preach My Gospel book. We know that it contains all the missionary discussions, but what else can it teach us that can help us become more effective missionaries?
With us today we have Brother and Sister Keung, and they served in the Canada Calgary mission as mission president and companion. So how long did you guys serve in Canada?
We served for 3 years. We began in June 2018 and we finished last year, June 2021.
Awesome. What was it like moving over there?
Oh,
if you like 40 degree below weather,
it's
very different.
Heaps of
But
snow
it's
there.
amazing. A lot of snow.
A lot of snow. But it was beautiful. Yeah, so our missionaries, I used to think, why are they so, they carry golf balls around everywhere, and I'm thinking, well, they're obsessed with it. And I come to find out when Brother Keung and I went out tracking with them, it's so cold that they would just pull the golf balls out and they would use the balls to knock golf balls. So, yeah.
That's
how
pretty
cold
smart.
it got. It was very smart. Yes.
What was the food like over there?
Food was like normal,
Yeah.
except one of the unique things about our mission is we had 4 tribal reservations of First Nations people, and they ate fried bread just like us.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Also, no seafood.
No, I missed my kaimwana. Oh my goodness. But anyway, everything else was beautiful. Yeah.
What was it like being engulfed in the culture of, what would the people be called there?
First Nation.
First Nation.
First Nations.
What was it like then?
It was an amazing experience, and one of the reasons why we think the Lord might have called us there. There are people that are very, very spiritual, and we connected with them, so it was an amazing experience for us.
Were there many First Nation people of the First Nations ethnicity that were in the church? Or are in the church?
There were a lot of members of the church, and there was a lot of work to do to work with them, and that was the heartening thing. Very deep in their faith, and we got to know them very, very well.
Were you guys able to see the missionaries use the Preach My Gospel to be more effective in their teaching?
We had Preach My Gospel as the go-to book right next to the Book of Mormon. Each day we would ask our missionaries to read from the Book of Mormon and then preach my gospel. The primary reason was to be, as Sequoia taught us, to be effective missionaries, but to be effective, we needed to be disciples of Christ. Preach my gospel helps us to become disciples of Christ first, and then gives us all the tools to be effective missionaries. Not just during an 18-month period or a 24-month period, actually for the rest of their lives. There'll be better nurses, there'll be better co-host presenters, there'll be better architects, there'll be better students, better fathers, better mothers, because of Preach My Gospel and the Book of Mormon.
So the Preach My Gospel, if you want to be an effective, a powerful missionary, Preach My Gospel will show you how to do that. And one of the greatest joys for us is, as we speak to our returned missionaries that are home now, they still use Preach My Gospel as a way of living the gospel of Jesus Christ, but also in their schoolwork and their work as parents. It's really lovely to see that it affects them as a missionary, but also in their personal lives.
Were there any Christ-like attributes that they might have developed, that you saw?
My goodness. Developing Christ-like attributes is one of the primary blessings of serving a mission. We sometimes think, again, we're in this 18-month or 2-year window, and we think that's it. But everything you do and everything you become blesses you for the rest of your life. And so becoming Christ-like is absolutely key to being effective. We had an Elder Aguilar. Elder Aguilar is from Virginia in the USA. He was from Honduras. He had been only a member 2 years, was actually baptized by a missionary from New Zealand right? Elder Samu. And after 2 years, he decided he wanted to serve a mission. Really struggled in his mission, and wanted to go home as soon as he arrived. And I said, Elder, will you just stay just to the end of this week? Okay, President. Get to the next week, to the week, and I said, can you stay another week? Okay. Can you stay another month? We went all the way through that experience, and he said, we were talking to him yesterday actually, and he said, President, I didn't feel comfortable until 10 months into my mission. I'm so glad that I stayed. He had never studied before, hadn't read the scriptures, was part of gang life, all these kinds of things. It was a wholly different experience for him. And in the 10th month, I said, what was it? He said, I finally knew. I had knowledge. I studied, preached my gospel. I struggled. I wasn't as good as everybody else, but by 10 months present, I knew I could do it. And he stayed. And we talked to his mother and we said, what does your mother think about you now? She says, oh, he's more patient, he's more loving. He still eats a lot.
He's a gentleman.
But you see this maturity that comes when you take on the attributes of Christ. And every missionary goes through that process.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for sharing that with us. I bet, like, from your perspective as a missionary couple, will be so cool to see a change of heart through your missionaries.
Absolutely.
Missionaries' hearts are forever changed, and you see that gradually as they go through their mission.
They come with good hearts.
Yeah, they've already got good hearts. They just get
beautiful
better.
Hearts. They just grow and mature, and it's spiritually, and it's just beautiful to watch.
Do you feel like, with Elder Aguilera, the experience you guys shared, do you feel like other missionaries that come in may sort of feel the same as him? Like they come in with not so much knowledge of the gospel and it could sort of set them back. What would you recommend that they do?
I think the most important thing is and what we tried to help our missionaries understand is, do you know the church is true? Start from there, wherever you're at, and then they build their knowledge. And that's what Preach My Gospel did.
I was able to read in the Preach My Gospel something about the companionship inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know what that is? I'm not too sure much about it.
It sounds like a business term, doesn't it? An inventory, some stock and goods. That's an opportunity for missionaries to sit down each other with a companion and take an inventory of how they're doing as a companionship. What do they like? What don't they like? How can they plan better, etc., etc. And it's an amazing experience if conducted appropriately, and if the missionaries are open to discussing some of the challenges that they have as a companionship.
I would always say, elders and sisters, every missionary deserves a good companion. You be that good companion. I learned that from Sister Bednar, and I never forgot it. And so, sometimes some companions get on like a house on fire, and others have to kind of, work at it. But that's life.
There's a promise in the Preach My Gospel where it says, give you the words in the very moment you need it. Do you have any moments where this happened? Do you have any experiences?
I think our missionaries experience this all the time, and one of the great miracles that happens to missionaries as they teach people they don't know and receive answers from people that may stump them. And what am I going to say? We had a situation where a beautiful family from Nigeria, Darlington, Itaje, and the sisters were teaching him, and they invited him to a fireside that we conducted, and they introduced him and his wife, beautiful Victoria, to my wife. Well, my wife was inspired during that conversation to invite Darlington and his family to our home for lunch. So they came to lunch about a week or two later. And as we were sitting, we found out that Darlington was a very learned man. He had studied the church. He was a PhD candidate and very smart. He knew everything about the church. He researched it, he Googled it, and he still wasn't sure. And his thoughts were, well, all churches are true. How can there be one true church? That was his big challenge. Everybody was doing good. So they came and had lunch, and as we were talking, he still struggled with this idea that the church was true. And then the second where the Spirit impacted us was when I looked at him and I just could not help myself from saying, Darlington, with all respect for you and our love for you and Victoria and your family, this is the only true and living church upon the face of the earth. You could hear a pin drop. And then I said, the evidence of this is the Book of Mormon. Have you read it? And he said he had. And then the third experience of the Spirit moving was we had Elder Grider.
He was
Wonderful,
our AP.
was our assistant at the time. Looked at Darlington, and then he asked an inspired question, Darlington, have you asked the Lord if it's true? And Darlington said, I haven't. And then he committed him to reading the Book of Mormon, which he did. This time, Darlington said, I'll read it and I'll ask. We knelt down to pray. Darlington said the prayer. It's a beautiful prayer. Boy, he could pray. And then he asked, will you tell me, Heavenly Father, if this book is true? And then we closed, and then he left. I wasn't sure whether or not that they would ever embrace the church. But the very next day, Elder Grider called us and said, President, Darlington wants to get baptized and he wants you to baptize him. Well, because of Darlington, he got baptized first, then his wife, then his mother and sister who came across from Nigeria some months later to Calgary, and then his dad who came across a year later. Just a beautiful, wonderful family where they were in tune, we were in tune, the missionaries were in tune, and then all of a sudden the Lord is able to build faith.
How has effective study of Preach My Gospel helped you or your missionaries on the hard days in your mission?
Let's see. Elder Nielsen, one of the general authorities, said, if you want to be a scriptorian, read and study Preach My Gospel. So our missionaries took that to heart. I remember Sister Robinson, who came to me one day and said, President, you know, I've been struggling a little bit. It's been tough. I said, yeah. She says, but I just discovered something. I said, what'd you discover? She said, 1 Nephi 1:1. Do you know that scripture?
I Nephi.
I, Nephi,
Being born of-
having been born of goodly parents, because we always think about that. And then it says, and I had seen much afflictions in my day. And she said, I get afflictions every day, President, but this is what I discovered. I went to the footnotes and I found out afflictions was cross-referenced to gifts and blessings of God.
Really?
And so all of it, yeah, really. Was that a surprise to you?
You don't think of afflictions as
You don't
blessings.
think of afflictions as gifts from God or blessings from God, right? She said, President, I don't mind all the afflictions I have. I just want more
Bring
more
it
gifts,
on.
more
Until
blessings.
it makes you stronger.
Makes you stronger. That's what Preach My Gospel does and helps our missionaries on their tough days. Many experiences like that because they become scriptorians.
They discover a lot on their own, which is really awesome.
Wow, thank you so much, Brother and Sister Keung, for sharing your experiences with us.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome, thank you.
You're really awesome hosts.
You're amazing and wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. It was awesome hearing about the importance of Preach My Gospel and how it impacted you guys and also the missionaries that you guys looked after. We hope that you guys were able to learn about the importance of Preach My Gospel. I invite you to study it and also to study the scriptures. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.
Bye.
Thanks for watching today's video. Make sure you guys like, comment and subscribe and also read the Preach My Gospel.
Comment down below what your favourite chapter in the Preach My Gospel book is.
Yeah, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.